The Nova Guest List Podcast
with Kieran McGuinness.
The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.
Yeah, that is the brilliant Rachael Lavelle. Let Me Unlock Your Full Potential. Loving that this year. One of my favourite songs. And we're very lucky because Rachael Lavelle has released her debut album called Big Dreams. She was due to play on Friday in the Project Arts, but, you know, because of the thing that we won't talk about, it's been moved to December the 15th. If you get a chance to go and see that, that would be amazing. So the album is just a pleasure to listen to. It's unusual and interesting, and there's loads of cool vocal manipulation, and she plays with the idea of the narrator through it, and it's just a great album. Go and check it out. We'll play a couple of songs here so that you'll get a feel for it, but we're very, very lucky because Rachael is on the line this evening. How's it going, Rachael?
Hi, Kieran, how are you? Thanks for having me. Yeah, all is great. Yes. Yeah,
no, it's a pleasure to have you. So we've talked about your breakfast off air. It sounded very detailed, and you put a lot of you did put a lot of detail into that, and I could see where the detail that went into the album. You know, it makes sense for that. How does it feel to have the album out?
Oh, it feels amazing. Honestly, I worked on it for so long. The thought of finishing it felt so far away, and then the thought of putting it out, I have to kind of pinch myself and actually remind myself, oh, it's out now and people can listen to it. Yeah, it feels really great. Yeah,
it sounds like it was a real sort of I won't say a labour of love, it's a bit of a cliche, but it's a real project, it's a real body of work. How did it come together?
Through a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimenting, a lot of time spent, working by myself, messing around in my room, making loads of vocal things, and then collaborating with Ryan Hargadin and Alex Barwick. Yeah, it was a process of like a year before the album was finished. It was kind of half finished, and I was like, this doesn't sound like my album, and then I had to like rip it all apart and rework it. So it was very much like that, just like, oh, it's not quite there, and then eventually it was like, okay, this sounds like it feels right now.
Yeah. It's kind of a strongly held idea or whatever to put out a kind of I suppose, a little bit of a concept album on your first album. And maybe it's not, maybe we can talk about that, but it definitely has this thread through it, this idea of the kind of inner monologue in it that kind of holds it together. I love that. Did that come from the start, or was it something where you know, just for people listening, basically throughout the album there's a kind of voice of the person who does the voice of the Lewis in Dublin, and they're kind of narrating your kind of inner mind and a kind of I suppose a fictional inner monologue. So how did that kind of come together? Was it there from the start, or did you feel it was needed or made sense as it went?
Yeah, well, originally I started working with this program called Text to Speech. So basically, when you write the text of something into your computer, and you can get it to say things. And I was just kind of up in my room getting it to say like chicken fillet roll and stuff, and I was like, this is so funny. And then eventually I was like, how can I put this into my music? Then I wasn't able to use that voice. That was the voice, like the Irish Siri for licensing. And then when I was on the Lewis, I was like, oh my God, her voice is perfect. And then I sort of tracked her down, Doireann Ivrian, and she became the voice of, I guess she's sort of a narrator, but also she's sort of like thoughts that you have, like that you're, I don't know, opinions about yourself, or like you're kind of like correcting yourself. And it could be, where did the thoughts come from? Are they like your mom telling you to be grateful, or are you being really hard on yourself? And I liked playing with the idea that this was somebody, like a voice from like a disembodied voice, but also a familiar voice that you hear on the Lewis, who's like giving you guidance, bringing you places. I liked that idea. So
it's really cool, but it's also it just makes it a very one piece, you know, which is something I think sometimes is a little bit lacking from modern albums. Sometimes modern albums are collections of songs much more than they ever were, and I think like it adds to the listener's kind of connection for it to be a piece. You know, I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
It's also kind of the album has got a kind of theatrical feel to it. Did you notice that as you went, or was it like?
Oh yeah, totally. I knew it was completely over the top. I love the idea of taking things that are very normal and that you see every day, but like making them into this like huge kind of dramatic thing, you know, like looking for love, or like I love the theatrics of just making it feel really like dramatic and emotional, definitely. And I think that using the voice also like added this kind of comedic element to it. So you're like, oh, she's being so dramatic, but is she being serious, or is she just joking? Or I like that kind of But
that's one of the things that I kind of came away thematically from the album, that there's a kind of a constant, not a contradiction, but it's almost like a paradox throughout. You know, like, is this being totally honest, or is it being kind of jokey, ironic? Is it slightly robotic? Is it very human? Is it very emotional? Is it very dry? It's kind of classic sounding, but it's also very modern in the way it's done. Surely you were like, you know, I don't know about you, but I would be sitting there going, this is look, how can I expand on this?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, definitely. I think that was definitely intentional, trying to play with that, like, is this joking or is it serious? And it's both, you know, sometimes more than the other. Yeah,
so I suppose, is that a comment then on the millennial mind, that it's, you know, confident and really self-critical and all those kind of things?
Potentially, yeah. It's open to discussion, and it's kind of, I guess it's sort of like not really conclusive anyway, the album. In its way, it kind of contradicts itself, but I feel that I'm kind of contradictory.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose that's where it's going to be really interesting, because I know you're going on tour at the moment, and so go and check out Rachel's tour dates. What can people expect at a gig?
Yeah, so we're touring as a trio, myself and Ryan Hargadin, who co-produced the album with me, and Hannah Hemstra. She's playing drums and bass, and we've sort of reimagined the songs, or tried our best to take them into a live setting. And it's going to be great. We're really excited. We played in Belfast last week, and next week we're going to Galway to the Micklally Theatre, and then
Yeah, well, the album is out. Go and check it out. You can get it on Bandcamp, on Rachel's Bandcamp. One of my favourite songs on the album is the closing track. It's Big Dreams, and obviously in the track there's a lot of Doreen doing the Lewis voice, I guess. Can you tell us a little bit about this song before we play it? Yeah,
sure. So I started writing this song, it was probably in 2017. I did a residency in Lisbon, and I went there with the intention of writing loads of songs, and I wasn't able to, but this melody came out for the Big Dream song, and it felt like kind of the end of your life or something. Like, it felt like someone was dying, and they were looking back at all like the love in their life and like the people that they met, and it's sort of like from that perspective, but then it's also like from where I would be now in my life and wondering like, am I doing the right thing, or have I wasted my time, and all these sort of dealing with, like, I don't know, possibly millennial thoughts, but probably thoughts that potentially everyone has. Yeah, that's the song.
Yeah, well, it's a great song. It's a great album. Go and check out Big Dreams, debut album by Rachael Lavelle, and let's play the song Big Dreams off it now. Thank you so much for chatting to us, Rachel.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kieran. Thank you, Mel.
Yeah, have a great evening. Let's play it. This is Rachael Lavelle, Big Dreams on Radio Nova.
The Nova Guest List Podcast with Kieran McGuinness. The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.